Hi, I'm Rowan, and this is a bit of a big deal for me today because I don't normally do voiceovers. So this is my journal page for the Stick Challenge for February 2019. And the first step was knife. Now this is a journal I have where I've filled every page up with paper napkins as a starting place for a page. So one of them happened to have a napkin with a knife and a fork on it, so I've used that for that first step. And the second step was sand, so I'm actually using some tea bags, which are a sand sort of colour, and some of them actually still had little bits of tea in there, so I thought that added quite a good texture for that sand prompt as well. So one of the suggested colours for this challenge was fuchsia. So you'll see in a minute I'm going to pick out some pinks. There's a neon pink and some craft paint which is called Very Berry, and I've mixed those and I'm going to paint in those geometric shapes that are in the napkin. The napkin at the top is actually a different napkin to the one at the bottom, and it's got the red in it, but I thought I would use that fuchsia sort of colour to colour in those geometric shapes. Now the third step is actually geometric, so that was quite appropriate as well. You'll see after I've done those I'm going to use some PASC pens and highlight some of the grey diamonds that are in there. The sixth prompt is actually elephant, so I know that there are some grey paints on the market that are actually called elephants, so I thought that I was sort of going to use that colour to cover that prompt. So the fourth step is to use a stencil, so I thought I would stick with the geometric shapes, and this is actually just a cardboard stencil that I cut myself with my brother's Scan and Cut, and I'm putting some gesso through that just to make a little bit of a contrast against all those tea bags that are in there. On the right hand side it doesn't turn out all that well, it's a bit splodgy, but it doesn't really matter. So I decided next that I needed to add some black contrast. It doesn't turn out very noticeable because the page is quite textured and bumpy, but I've used a couple of mark making stamps from Viva Las Vegas stamps. There's some crosses and then some parallel lines that I put in now. So the final step that I'm doing from the prompts is to include some tissue paper. So I've gone with some sewing pattern, and it's a simplicity pattern, so I decided to use the word simplicity as my word for the page. So I've actually got that repeated twice, and then I wanted to include that a bit more on the rest of the tissue that had nothing on it. So I've actually used a stamp, you can just see it on the top left there, that has got 12 spaces on it that you can just wind it around like a date stamp and make some words. So I've made the word simplicity and just stamped it over and over again onto the sewing pattern tissue paper, and here I'm sticking that down. Well, I seem to be getting a little bit out of sync with my voiceover. I'm not quite exactly sure why. I'm using a new program that I'm just learning. I have sped up the video, obviously, and I'm looking at one thing while I'm talking, but then when I play it back it seems to have gone on to the next section, so just bear with me this time. These flowers are actually the same rose, which I took a photo of, and I tried printing it on some sticker paper that I've got, but again, because the page is so textured, it just didn't want to stick, and so I've used some Liquitex matte gel medium and stuck those all down. They're quite red, so you'll see me get my POSC pen again, and this time in pink, and I'm just adding some highlights to there, going around and picking out the texture in the flowers. just to make them blend in a little bit more with the other colours on the page. Then because the leaves are very green, I want to blend that in with the sand colours and the other colour, which for the challenge was amber. I've used some brown and another sort of very pale, I don't know what you'd call it, it's almost a skin colour really, over the leaves to just tone them down a little bit. And then I use a white paint pen to go around the two main simplicity words. I hope this has sort of worked out okay and makes a little bit of sense, and I hope you've enjoyed my video.